the Mercenary King with a Kagero deck from Divine Dragonic Possession, whatever EV that is. Basically, I'm using the not Novell stuff, which is pretty sad because it's like there's Novell and then there's that trash. Well, here's the thing, that trash is actually pretty awesome. Starter, of course, the ever faithful Conroe. Forerunner, and then Counterblast 1 and retire this unit. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 or less Kagero, reveal it to your opponent, and put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. Not only does he prevent being grade stuck, he's fantastic in just about anything. From, you know, searching out tools to getting that bar you need for a 21k column or something, I don't know. This deck doesn't really do 21k columns, but it does fix problems in your grade 1 lineup. And that's always good. It also helps dealing with, like, getting Cruel Dragon off, or, you know, getting something that pumps up when you kill a whole bunch of crap, which, what is his name? Chain Blast Dragon does. This is a Cruel Dragon, Chain Blast Dragon, and Blast Bulk Dragon deck. So, triggers. I run 7 great crit triggers. I run Rakshasa and Stella. Wait, is it Stella? No, it's Biella, Seal Dragon. Partly because this used to be a Flame Chain deck, so everything being Flame Dragon was sweet. But the thing is, I got really bored with it. It wasn't really impressive. All it did was +8 per trigger or something, as well as you know, +3 for every Flame Dragon. But I didn't really enjoy it, so I scalped it for a Lawkeeper / Arch Dragon deck, which was just terrible. I mean, Lawkeeper hasn't survived over the years as well as it could have. At least the Arch Dragon deck variant hasn't. I'll be producing a cheap deck with some of the set 14 stuff, with Lawkeeper from Divine Dragonic Possession and, oh, what is his name? Dragonic Burnout, the power guy. 4 heals, simple. 5 draw triggers. Art Peak, just for that +3k. You never know when you need it. I don't know why they have so many draw triggers. It's crazy. And then there's Gatling Claw Dragon. I have him in there so you can kill a grade 0. You would not understand how useful it is to have the ability to kill somebody's Forerunner. I mean, like with Dungaree, it shuts it down. I mean, I don't think you have face many Dungarees, you know, but the Brave and the Proud do, yeah. It'll also kill like Linshoos, other things that are just kind of useful to have dead. Let's go to the grade 1s. 4 perfect shields, 2 of each. I kind of wish I had that Dragonic Dragon Dancer out, but I never got any. 3 Embodiment of Armor bars. Why do I have him? Well, he's really good for a starter, and he's a really great booster. None of my grade 3s really hit 21k without using their powers. And so if I'm running Blast Bulk or Chain Blast or Cruel Dragon, I run him. Wait, should I? Yeah. When I run Blast Bulk or Cruel, I run him. When I run Chain Blast, I have somebody else. 2 of these guys, Heat Nail Salamanders. When this attack hits a Vanguard, when this boosts a Kagero, choose an opponent's grade 1 rearguard and retire it. And then, at the end phase of the turn, this unit returns to the deck and this deck is shuffled. Why is he good? He kills something. That's it. Also, he puts on an immense amount of pressure. I mean, the fact that you usually play him early in the game when they're building up their field and they really don't want to replace stuff, really forces out those 10k guards they need for later in the game, which they will need, especially if you get Blast Bulk or get a certain combo with Chain Blast off. 2 Kimnaras. Kimnara is good. Counterblast 1 and put this unit into the soul. Kill a grade 1. On command is always better than anything require a requirement, because what happens if you don't get the requirement? This doesn't work. This also works for Cruel Dragon, along with Gatling Claw, because it means that you can get Cruel Dragon Superior Ride off, as well as minusing your opponent. Cruel Dragon I'll get to when I get to the grade 3s. Finally, 2 Jokas. By the way, there was 3 bars, 2 Heat Nail Salamanders, 2 Kimnaras, 2 Jokas. During the main phase, when an opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone, this unit gets plus 3k until end of turn. Basically, you run Chain Blast, you kill something, all of a sudden kill 3 things using his main ability, where you discard 2 grade 3s. All of a sudden, this thing gets plus 9 and you're hitting for 26k. Because I have so many other retires in this deck, easily break 29 just with this card. Fantastic, good against all. This is one of the underappreciated card types during the main phase. Opponent's rearguards drop zone. So many cards utilize killing things during the main phase, like in Eradicators. I've never understood why Stormy isn't used more. I know they have Shuko. It's a 7k gets plus 3k, but I mean, having more of them has always seemed like a good idea to me, and I never understood why people don't. All of a sudden, you have a 12k attacker, you kill one thing, it's a 21k attacker. There's one coming out in set 14 that I'm really excited for, that is for Narukami, and what she does is she Soul Blasts 1, gives something plus 3k. I think it's that. Anyway, it'll be awesome. What it will be. It'll be so awesome. 2 Nahalem. I don't really have anything better to put in here. He's good for the 10k defense. You'd be surprised how many times he comes out. And plus, with him and Heat Nail Salamander, makes a 16k column. Hits most 11ks. Their numbers aren't as great as they could be, but hey. Bellicosity Dragon. I run 4 damage on flippers. Why do I do that? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that use at least 7, 8 who use at least 1 counterblast, several that use 2. And plus, it's pressure. Nobody wants to let you unflip a counterblast. Nobody. Dragon Dancer Alibera. Let's see here. Flame Dragon. Flame Dragon, Flame Dragon. All my grade 3s are Flame Dragons. When this unit is placed on the rearguard, counterblast 1, give something plus 5k. Okay, let's talk about Blast Bulk Dragon. Blast Bulk Dragon gets plus 5k when you have 2 or more crits, and his main ability gives him plus 5k in a crit. So in other words, his main ability gives him plus 10k in a crit. All of a sudden, he's 26 by himself with bar, that's 34, and all you have to do is counterblast 1 and discard 1. Counterblast 2 if you include this one. Fantastic cost. Berserk Dragon. Here's the thing about using Cruel Dragon. Cruel Dragon needs something to retire, and usually it'll cost you 2 counterblasts or 1 counterblast, depending. 2 counterblasts if you have to search it out with Conroe. Might as well play this. If you have the counterblasts, kill something, Superior Ride, Cruel Dragon, Wreck Face, repeat. Good card. It's counterblast 2, place on Vanguard, or Rearguard. If you have a Kagero Vanguard, pay the cost. In other words, if he's there, if you do, choose an opponent's grade 2 or less Rearguard and retire it. That pesky Interceptor, that 10k booster, that thing you really want dead, he takes care of it. Good card, 10-10, would bang. Let's see here. 2 Cruel Dragons. This card is good for the Superior Ride, but when you don't Superior Ride him, he's not that great. His main ability is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 with this unit attacks a Vanguard. Pay the cost if you do. Choose a grade 2 or less Rearguard and retire it. Yes, it is a really cheap minus. The problem is he doesn't gain any power, and he doesn't really do things. A -1 is great, and it can really build up over time, but he's not as great as other cards that could be. He really shines with his Superior Ride ability. Really reveal this card, choose a grade 2 or greater Kagero Vanguard, and tap it during the main phase of that turn. If your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone, ride this card as stand, but it gets -3k, so it's an 8k Vanguard. If you've got Joka or Bar behind this card, that's not a big deal. It'll hit 16, 17 easy. The problem is it doesn't do enough pressure of itself. It's not like Chain Blast that retires 3 units, and if you let it hit, it'll search for a grade 3, thinning out your deck so wonderfully. And it's not Blast Bulk, who's all of a sudden a crit 2, 21k before boost. Let's see, Blast Bulk. This guy is fantastic. On command, act, limit break 4, choose a Kagero from your hand to discard it, counter blast 1. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 5k and a crit until end of battle. And then a continuous during your turn. If this unit's crit is 2 or more, this unit gets plus 5k. In other words, you don't need to be at limit break for that to activate. Let's say you just ride the grade 3. All of a sudden, you get E2 passes you, and you pull a crit. Put the crit on here. All of a sudden, he gets boosted to 21k. That's basically you have to 3 pass him. If he gets a crit, all of a sudden it's like he got two triggers, except, only one gets a critical. Discarding a Kagero from your hand is a bit grim, but fortunately a lot of cards lose their effectiveness in the late game. Like I've, got a Joka here, and then it's like I can just discard the other Joka. Don't have enough counterblast for Berserk, discard a Berserk. Discard another grade 3. Really good card. Basically, the theme of this deck is, unless you ride Cruel Dragon, once you reach a grade 3, manipulate your strategy around that grade 3. In other words, if you have Blast Bulk, you put a bar behind him, and all of a sudden he's 29k every turn until you run out of counterblasting cards to discard. You can't come back from that as well as you think you might be able to. Sure, you can say, oh, I could just Perfect Shield. Well, here's the thing. The rate of replacement of cards in an average Vanguard turn is 3. You are spending 4 cards, because if you're perfect shielding it, that means that you're at a place where you could be killed. Also, if you let him hit, in other words, 4 or 5. If you were at 4, I start killing your rear guards. So in other words, you either let the rear guards die, which is a further minus, or you spend something to defend it. So in other words, you place the crit, you place the perfect shield, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's no matter how this turns out. And if you don't have a perfect shield, which by the way you will run out because you only have 4, this card all of a sudden becomes incredibly fearsome because it requires 2 10Ks for a 1 pass, which is never something you want to really risk. Assuming, of course, you have a booster. It doesn't hit cross-ride numbers as well as it should, but that's okay. That's why I got the bars in here. 29k is as good as 28k when it comes to cross-rides. And if you run Joka, let's say you use up a Kimnara and a Berserk Dragon, this gets plus 6. All of a sudden he's 33k, which is, of course, so good. So good. Love this card. He's a lot funner than you think, and really doesn't deserve to be... And while Novell is simply the best card in the set, this guy is simply not to be forgotten. Let's see here. Chain Blast Dragon. Chain Blast Dragon's limit break. Choose 2 grade... Counterblast 1 and choose 2 grade 3... or greater Kageros from your hand and discard them. Choose 3 of your opponent's rear guards and retire them. This guy is the boss. Let's see here. Oh, and by the way, choose one of your rear guards and retire it. When this unit hits a Vanguard, retire a Kagero, as I just stated. If you do, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. Choose a grade 3 Kagero from among them, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle the deck. In other words, he thins out the grade 3s. Use Conroe, that's 1 grade 1. Use him twice, that's 2 grade 3s. All of a sudden you have 3 non-triggers out of your deck. If you don't hit too many triggers beforehand, you could have as many 12 triggers in a 30-card deck by turn 3 or 4. Is it 5? I forget which. Point is, when things start getting heavy, the deck's trigger ratio starts looking really fearsome. Plus, there's this card. If you just use this ability by itself, it will be plus 9k here. By the way, sometimes you can put 2 out. So in other words, 15k boosters, 24k, use this ability, 27k. This is going to be 29k. In other words, it's hitting blast bulk numbers and retiring 3 cards from the field, or 4 cards if you include Herm. And that's just not something people can recover from late game. Proper way to fight him: don't let him search for the grade 3s. I'm sure minusing the field sounds great for whiffs, but if your opponent is smart, like I am, he'll know the right times when to search it. In other words, if he drives check a grade 3, he's going to wait a turn and then see if he can hit it again. But he's still going to shoot for it because he's betting on the fact that you'll think the minusing is good enough to let him hit. Alright, I've talked about this deck pretty well. These cards, Chain Blast, Blast Bulk, and Cruel Dragon. While Cruel Dragon may be the weakest of the 3, it's still a very good card. Kagero has a forgotten history of superior rides, from Aleph to Blazing Flare, and I think there's one other, I just forget the name of it, besides Cruel Dragon. That are just fantastic cards in their own right. I'm sure that if you built a deck around this ability, always have retiring something every turn, I'm pretty sure you could build up something pretty great. The problem is I just haven't conceived of it yet. Chain Blast, it's a -3 to your opponent. For -2 cards, you shouldn't be using except for Perfect Shield Fodder. Sure, it sounds hefty, but it's not the same as minusing your opponent's field, because remember, minusing an opponent's field is great because he might not always have cards to replace it that he wants to put out. Like if you kill a couple Blaster Blades in an Alfred Liberator deck, all of a sudden that deck starts to lag. Sure, you can pick up 5 and put them down again, but it's just not the same without Blaster Blade because of the ultimate break of plus 10k plus a crit for every Blaster Blade you call out. Also, there's decks like Dark Irregulars, which, you know, when you start minusing their field so heavily, they won't recover from that. And that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, this has been the Mercenary King, bringing you one last deck before we head over to the set 14 decks. Look forward to those. I've got like 5 in the works, as well as a bunch of budget decks that's going to be really fun. Have a great evening.